Hi, welcome to Beauty is Vain. My name is Aubrielle. I am a born-again, Bible-believing Christian, and on this channel I discuss all things womanhood and femininity, as well as sharing my love for art. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and I try to make a video for you once a week to enjoy. So in this week's video, I'm going to be talking about my modesty testimony. How the Lord has really transformed me in the area of modesty. So hopefully this is a blessing to you if you're on your own modesty journey. I hope that it's encouraging. So yeah, enjoy. Alright, so let's get into my modesty journey. So the story starts back to before I was saved. What do you mean by saved, you ask? Check out the description box below for more details on that. So back to my story. Before I was saved, I dressed extremely immodestly. The only exception to this was when I was at work, but pretty much anywhere outside of work, I would wear clothing that didn't hide much. People didn't have to try real hard to know the exact size or curves of my body. It was just all there for them to see. I was also heavily involved in various night scenes like, raving or clubbing, music festivals, that sort of thing. So at these type of events, my clothing would always be hypersexualized. And the sole reason the sole reason I would wear clothing like this was for attention. It was for the attention of people around me. Literally no other reason. And I loved that attention. I would get it pretty easily. Men would show obvious interest in me, sometimes women too, and that attention was like a drug. I would get this temporary high and feel really good about myself, but just like any drug, it was so fleeting, and I would always be seeking more and more of this attention. And it's this never-ending strive because no amount of attention is ever enough. So just before I got saved, I was already starting to come to the end of myself. And I noticed that with a lot of Christian testimonies, even before the person actually gets saved, they start to realize that what they're currently doing for fulfillment is not working. So that's what happened to me in this particular area of my life. I realized my desperation for attention and how destructive it was. So that part of me began to slowly die. However, because my closet was already filled with immodest clothing, I would still dress immodestly because I thought that there wasn't really anything wrong with showing my body as long as I wasn't doing it for attention anymore. So it really wasn't until I was saved and actually transformed by the power of God that I saw my need to change my closet, and I actually saw immodesty from God's perspective. I finally understood that lust is a sin, and while a man is responsible for his own lustful desires, I have this insane amount of power to either help the men around me or lead them to their own destruction. So very shortly after I got saved, I started to change my wardrobe, and I wanted to dress modestly. And the only examples I had in my head of what modesty actually looked like were these two Christian women that I worked with before I was saved. And these women stood out to me. They weren't dressed in like a religious costume, like a, hijab, like some Muslim women. It was nothing like that. But you could tell by looking at them that they were set apart from this world. They wore these beautiful long dresses, and I never saw any cleavage. And I remember asking them about their clothing, and they would give me biblical answers and like logical reasons why they dressed the way they did. And it wasn't just their clothing, it was just their entire presence was modest. And even before I could see clearly for myself, I respected it. And I think that they really planted a lot of seeds in me that God later watered and He allowed to grow. So I'm very thankful to have seen these ladies as a visual reference of what modesty really looked like. Now that I do dress modestly, there are some really positive things I've noticed. First off, dressing modestly is so freeing. I had no idea how much bondage I was in when I was constantly seeking, validation and attention from others. Seeking fulfillment through attention from others is like having a milestone attached to your ankle with a chain. Meanwhile, you're at the bottom of an ocean trying to swim up for air. It's literal death, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. While contrary to that, modesty is freeing. I'm no longer seeking the attention of others around me because my fulfillment comes from Christ and Christ alone, literally nothing else. So I want to dress how He wants me to dress. And He clearly tells me through His word to dress modestly. Not only for my protection, but also to respect others around me. Another cool benefit I've noticed from dressing modestly is I receive more respect from others around me. I no longer have people looking at me like I'm some kind of sexualized object, but now people look at me with respect. And it's something that's hard to explain unless you've gone from one extreme to the other, but it's very noticeable. And it's a great little bonus to dressing modestly. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. I hope you enjoyed this little watercolor painting of chains breaking, symbolizing the freedom that I found by dressing modestly. So I'm hoping to make some short videos for you guys real soon to be in the little shorts section on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. Until next time.